from basically from involuntary watch collector of Chinese brands, then to the step of becoming an ambassador of Chinese
sort of Chinese it's really all serendipity. Like I think I never really planned it. It just happened this way. I never said like from the get-go, oh, I'm gonna make Chinese watches or I'm gonna be into Chinese watches. It was purely always like a consequence of something else. But yeah, that's how it happened.
That's really interesting. What it is about Chinese watchmaking that is at the moment still quite overlooked? What are the stereotypes you had to fight against? And why do you believe you came to a point where actually Chinese watches can be really inspiring and high quality to some extent?
I think, like, broadly speaking, there are two things that are mostly overlooked. One is about the actual, let's say, like intrinsic quality. The second one is about the creativity. Quality-wise, like, there's some very qualified craftsmen, some very qualified artisans, a very, very rich tradition of making things by hand in China that goes like back like millenaries in the past. And those things, like, people don't really today like look at them or pay attention to them. So that's the first one. The second one about creativity, I mean, it echoes with the same one. I mean, there's often the stereotype that it's going to be copies, it's going to be fakes, there's not going to be any originality or freshness. But when you look at the story of China, you have like such a rich cultural heritage, you have such a rich cultural tradition with its own language, with its own beauty, and this is like something that is like completely overlooked. And this is actually what I want to celebrate through those watches, to show the craftsmanship, the capabilities, the skills, the heritage, the unique like cultural language. Those are all these beautiful things that I want to show and celebrate with other people around the world.
Yeah, one of the things, if you go on Atelier Wen's website and on the limited edition, as we become the official retailers in the UK for Atelier Wen, you'll find out the level of transparency that actually comes across as very, very obvious, I would say. There is a big Pandora box that I don't know if we want to open here, but you know, even for a Swiss brand to be called Swiss made, we all know that you need 60% of the cost of the watch to be related to Switzerland by legal requirements. And we all know that in terms of supplying, China has been supplying brands in Europe, in Switzerland for a very, very long time. So there is a development of skills that have been happening there. And also, quite importantly, during the quartz crisis, some of the big makers actually migrated from Switzerland to China. So it's not that it's a new thing for them, watchmaking, is it?
No. I actually, like, when you look at it, I think like modern watchmaking, it started in China in 1955. And there was like some heavy investments by the state to make a lot of like manufacturers. So already they made like some very big facilities. There was this law that in each like of the province, like capital, you'd have like one fully vertically integrated manufacturer. So this was already like an industry that was large. But I think like the moment where like the sort of like modern Chinese watch industry like had like a big like boost was when the country started opening and a lot of like foreign brands started investing in the country to create like modern facilities, to buy like those like modern like CNC machines and whatnot. So you have this like big like sort of like park of like manufacturing capabilities, which is A, very large, and B, most importantly, like new and advanced, because it was built like in the 80s to 90s. And the skill when it comes to watchmaking, those ones like they, as we're saying, I think they go back to the 50s. But also then even like besides that, like all some other skills which are used in watchmaking, like you can like sort of like find them like much before in China, like, you know, like so some metal working skills, some
engraving,
like all these things,
blacksmiths, of course, because it's always been a very autarkic kind of society where they were able to master all the production processes pretty much on the industrial and artisanal level, I guess.